Hi guys, in this episode of Plumbers Thoughts On, I'm gonna be sharing my thoughts to the 19th episode of the 11th and final season of one of my favorite shows ever, The Walking Dead. And honestly, I think we should just get the elephant out of the room right off the bat. Because this episode was called Variants. And we just kinda have to talk about it because it was so cool and the best part of the episode, and this made kind of the episode the best episode of the season for me, potentially. I mean, I don't know long term whether it's going to age that well, depending on how much more of the variant walkers do we get in the next 5 episodes. If we get more, then that would overshadow the thing that we got in this episode. But the point is, I really enjoyed this episode, and it's the most I've enjoyed an episode this season since, I think, episode 2. Or maybe potentially episode 6. I really liked episode 6, so potentially episode 6 is the episode since which I enjoyed this the most. And I think the reason why I enjoyed this episode and 6 so much is because of the creepy walker stuff. And in this case, it was an actual variant walker, which was so fucking cool. Like, I can't even fucking begin to describe how much I love that whole fucking sequence. Although, I do want to say, for an episode called Variants, it was shockingly short. The amount that we got of that fucking variant. Because, like, with an episode being called out, you would think that at least half of it would be focused on that shit. And yet, no. Most of the episode was actually focused on moving the plot at the Commonwealth, which is not necessarily a bad thing, but maybe don't call the episode Variants if you're not gonna focus on the variants. Because all I know, the variant side of things kind of took maybe like 5 to 10 minutes of the episode. Like, the actual story surrounding it as well was like 10 minutes at most. But it was pretty good. I love literally the first shot where we see the variant walker who just stops and kind of turns to the side. Like, that is 100% a parallel to the first time we saw a Whisperer back in season 9 episode. I don't know if it was necessarily episode 8 or was it episode 7. No, I think it probably was episode 8, when Jesus, Aaron, and Daryl were looking at a bunch of walkers who were just milling around and not really doing anything. It was 100% a parallel to that, and I love it because it makes sense to have a parallel like that, because in season 9 we have people dressing up as walkers, manipulating walkers, and our characters being surprised by these smart walkers, and now we actually have that shit. And I love how it's built in such a way where the experience of having the Whisperers be a thing kind of amplifies how cool this is. Because I feel like if we had this kind of like smart walkers from the beginning, not only would the Whisperers not work as much, because the cool stuff there is that for years you've seen the walkers behave in a certain way, with seeing them just be slow and not really capable of much, and then you have this fucking walker dodge. Like, that reveal doesn't work as hard if you don't have the ears, or at least having seen like hundreds of episodes of walkers behaving a certain way. But with us now having experienced walkers who do potentially act differently, who turn out to be humans, that also amplifies the scare factor of the fact that, no, in this case, the walkers actually are fucking evolving. And I fucking love that about it. So the more we parallel to the Whispers, the cooler it fucking is, this whole thing. Then we have the really cool location at which the whole variant scene happens. It was a refreshing and kind of interesting location that I really like. It is a place that I wouldn't mind living in the zombie apocalypse. Like, it felt like a really cool campground. Like, you ever have that kind of moment where you might be walking somewhere, maybe to the grocery store? That's not really going to be something you Americans can relate to, but like, you're walking somewhere and you see a cool locations, like be it a schoolyard or I don't know, a church, and you think about ways how you can make that location zombie proof, you know? Seeing this location in this episode kind of reminded me of that feeling that I've had. And I've had it whenever I've walked around an old school that we have in my town. I've had it when I've walked past kind of like a... I don't know what to call it, but it's a place where there's a lot of different trucks and tractors and they sell a lot of random shit you might need for like repairing, like cement, that kind of shop place, which is kind of has like a metal plated fence, kind of like at Alexandria. And this location in this episode kind of gave me that feeling of thinking about how can I make this zombie proof. Like, it was a really cool location for this whole sequence. And then you have the slow realization that the walkers are getting into this place, even though our characters have supposedly closed it off so they can't. Like, hearing the sounds of the clanging doors and the characters questioning and thinking, oh, it's probably the wind, but also second guessing themselves about it. And then you see the walkers start to pour in. And then you have our characters starting to attack them, which, by the way the kills in this episode were shot, mwah, 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 so good. I've complained about it, I feel like, in quite a few of these reviews, how I feel like, I don't know, ever since Glenn's death, the walker kills have not been the same, and I feel like the brutality of the show has kind of gone down for whatever reason, with maybe reprives here and there, but that whole sequence, the way it was shot with the zombie kills, was really fucking cool. Like, you have the characters take a couple of successful swings at walkers, and then you have Lydia going for the stick, with the stick to kill the walker, and then he fucking grabs it. But the coolest thing is that he doesn't grab it in a way that it would be like a whisper, where they would just grab it before it's far away. No, he grabs it after it stabs him. Like, this has been something that I have been worried about ever since I realized that they were going to be doing like an evolved walkers kind of thing, because I was always worried that they might overdo it to the point where it would feel canon breaking and it would feel like the walkers don't belong in the same universe. Like, imagine if all of a sudden the walkers started running like in 28 Days Later or World War Z. I've always been worried that they would probably overdo it. But I guess props to Greg Nicotero or whoever teaches the people who do the walkers how to do it properly, that they're doing it in such a way where it still feels right. Because like the walker, even though it's like smarter and stronger or whatever, it doesn't move in a way where it doesn't feel like the walker would move like that. Because like I said, he gets stabbed with the stick and he grabs it then. And, by the way, talking about that, with the way the walker acts in this episode, and I think episode 17, in the beginning with Daryl fighting a bunch of walkers who were weirdly lunging at him with their hands, I'm 100% convinced that that walker in Fear the Walking Dead Season 7, Episode 6, I think it was, or Episode 7, I'm not exactly... No, it was Episode 12, what am I saying? In episode 12, that walker, which smacks the gun out of John Dory Sr.'s hand, that was 100% a variant. That is 100% a variant. Based on what we see about the behaviors in this episode and the last couple of episodes, that is 100% a variant. You cannot convince me otherwise, because in this episode, that walker goes for protections. Like, he grabs the stick so Lydia cannot pull it out and hit him again. Then she uses a knife, and I think he kind of stops that as well. And then later on, when Aaron is fighting the walker also is kind of protecting itself. Like, you know, that 100% makes me think that that walker that knocked the gun off of John Dory Sr.'s hand was a variant. And I refuse to believe otherwise. That's my headcanon, honestly. And yeah, I love how shocking it was that Lydia like her stick got stuck in that walker. And it's especially cool because she was the whisperer. She was a whisperer, man. She used to do this shit. So she's on the other end of the stick. She was on the other end of the fucking stick on that one. And that was so cool because she used to walk among the dead and do this shit and freak people out like that. And now she gets freaked out like that. That was really, really cool. And it obviously was really cool that they instantly thought that it was Whisperers doing that, because what else would it be, you know? I love that their experiences teach them things. It's not like, oh, it happened, we forgot about it, you know? It still makes those scenes and those episodes feel like they matter. And by the way, that fucking sequence with Jerry killing a bunch of walkers, God, I can't fucking wait to see Blind Wave's reactions of this, because they're huge fans of Jerry. They love that character. And that was straight up the most badass scene Jerry has ever had in my eyes. It was shot beautifully, and him being such a badass with the sword, oh my god, it was so beautiful. I really like that. And I love like how in the next scene, as they are stuck in this little cabin that is kind of reminiscent of that one scene from Zombieland where one of the main characters shoots a bunch of walkers who were around him. It's kind of reminiscent of that. They see the doorknob turn after thinking that, oh, it's just Whisperers, and then Jerry jumps and holds the door. Like, that was really, really cool. And then they all get on the roof. And then you see the hand of that fucking walker climbing up. Like, God, this was so cool and so terrifying and so exciting. Like, I haven't been this excited since the reveal of the Whisperers. And I feel like with the Whisperers, as soon as we saw that it was people under the mask, which I already knew that what the Whisperer were. As soon as we saw that, I feel like the excitement and fear kind of disappeared. Like, the episodes before that were building up to the reveal, I feel like were cooler. Like episode 6, 7, and 8, where we kind of get little by little tease of the Whisperers being a thing. I feel like were far more exciting than once we realized that the Whisperers were a thing and what they were. So yeah, that was really exciting. And the walker climbing up and Jerry not seeing him behind him, and then a conveniently placed rock that the walker grabs. Oh, that was so... I actually thought that Jerry might have died this episode. I was really worried about spoilers in this episode. Getting spoiled about this episode because it took a fucking while for them to put it up. And I was worried about spoilers, and I feel like I had the feeling that one of the characters must have died in this episode, because why wouldn't you kill a character in a situation like this? And I was worried for Jerry, especially because they've really kind of teased Jerry's death so many times at this point in the last couple of seasons. I'm always worried about him at this point. And I'm even more so with the things that he says towards the episode about this place being King Jerry and Queen Nabila's place to live, or whatever. It makes me feel like he might die, but hope not. But it was so tense and so exciting in a way that The Walking Dead hasn't been in a while. Like I said, at least since season 9, episode 8. In that regard, because it's mostly that I haven't felt like the characters were in any danger when there have been walkers. Like, it's been a long time since I felt like the characters were in danger surrounding walkers. Even when it's a big group of them. Like, the fact that this walker was kind of smarter and more capable just made it so much more terrifying. And I love the way how Aaron takes him down. Like, he can't just fight it like a normal walker. He kind of fights it more like it's an actual alive person. And then the fear in his eyes when he removes the skin and sees that it's still a walker, like it's not a Whisperer because they thought it was a Whisperer. Like, that was really fucking cool. That was some really good acting in that scene. It's a shame that it was only one variant though. And I would be really disappointed if after this sequence in this episode, we don't get an increasing amount of these walkers happen. Because it would feel really kind of shoehorned in, and for the sake of setting up future spin-offs. Because, like, that scene in that post-credit scene in World Beyond's finale already felt kind of disconnected from the rest of the show. So to have this kind of tease of a variant walker and not build up on it even more really feels like it's kind of out of nowhere. Would feel out of nowhere. So I hope that you use it more in the next couple of episodes. But I wouldn't count on it, really. But yeah, honestly, that part of the episode was so good. I don't really even care about talking about the rest of the episode much. Like, this was so far ahead of everything else. Like, is there even a point to bring in the rest of the episode? Because sure, we had some cool interactions between a lot of the characters in this episode. I definitely enjoyed so many of those interactions. Like the interactions between Rosita and Eugene and what felt like a final goodbye between the two. That was really nice. Some of the interactions between Eugene and Daryl, probably the funniest one being where Eugene was ready to fight Daryl, but Daryl knew he wasn't going to fight him, so he just was open to letting him go. And the end of the scene there, where Eugene asks Daryl whether people are born brave or do they become it. That was a really nice scene between the two, and Daryl saying both, which I very much agree with. That was pretty cool. We had another scene interaction between Pamela and Lance. Sadly, though, that scene didn't really work for me as well as the other one, because, I don't know, it just felt a little bit too long and a little bit unclear in where it was going. Though the tension, the same kind of sexual tension was very much there, and I thought the scene was going in a different direction when Pamela put her hand in Lance's pants, but yeah. Was there anything else? No, I think that's actually pretty much the episode. Sure, we had some minor moments, but that was pretty much the episode. I also really liked the interaction between Lydia and Aaron earlier in the episode, where Lydia was talking about being unsure about being with Elijah after having lost Henry, and Aaron kind of making her feel better by bringing up his dead boyfriend and how he wishes he said yes to being with him sooner, because it would have meant more time with him. Basically trying to tell her that she should just say yes if she feels like it, because otherwise she's gonna be sorry, because he's going to die sooner or later and she's gonna regret not saying yes to him sooner. And that's actually something I've seen people criticize about why Aaron didn't bring up Jesus, because he was also his boyfriend. But I feel like that would have kind of went against the point that he was trying to make to Lydia, because he was trying to make the point that even after people die, you still have the experiences with them. So it's better to have more experiences with them by going with them sooner. And if he brought up Jesus, it would have turned the point more into, no matter how many times you fall in love, your boyfriends are always gonna die, so get over it. Like, I feel like it would have just turned the point into something that it's not. So yeah, honestly, outside of that main part of the episode with like the variant, I honestly don't really, like I said, feel like saying much about the other scenes. So let's just go through my notes and just talk about what I've written and if I have anything to add to it, because that scene is so, like, that whole sequence with the variant walker is so good, it just overshadows the rest of the episode in my eyes. So yeah, the first thing I've written is Sebastian going to be a variant walker? There's still a possibility for that, actually. There's still a possibility for it, but it doesn't seem to be the case, at least, so far. But with the way the whole sequence, the whole scene there was done, and with them not putting him down and not wanting to put him down for so long, I thought he might have been the first variant that would have wrecked shit in the Commonwealth. And it would make sense, considering that this episode is fucking called Variant, to have both the A plot and the B plot deal with the variant in some way, shape, or form. Because right now, the way it is, it doesn't feel like the episode justifies its title. It feels like they've named it Variant because it was including that scene, and just to kind of bring up hype, you know? But yeah, still a possibility. Next thing I've written is this is season 9, episode 8 all over again, which I already talked about. How a lot of the scenes with the variant are parallels to the scenes with the Whisperers back in season 9, and the excitement was very much the same, and I really enjoyed it. Next thing I've written is you're fucking with the wrong people, Mercer, which for me it's a reference to season 5. But the reason why I wrote it is because Mercer was obviously interrogating our group to find out where Eugene went, because they blame him for what happened with Sebastian. And the way he was talking to Rosita as if they didn't know each other, that they didn't become friends, who respect each other and the like, it felt like it became kind of like an us versus them kind of situation. So it brought me back to like, you fuck with our group, you know what they would do to you. They have no fucking loyalty to anybody in the Commonwealth. We will destroy it and not even think twice about it, you know? Next thing written is, that was a cool ass drone shot, and it genuinely was. I'm talking about the shot when Lydia, Jerry, Elijah, and Aaron arrive at the really cool set piece location with the variant, where we have a drone shot where it goes through like a hole in the fence and it kind of spins around and it's like a shot from above. Like, it was a really cool shot. I really liked it. Next thing written is, that was a nice one between Aaron and Lydia. Somebody's dying. And yeah, with them bringing up old characters and being so, all these characters being so in love and everything, it really feels like somebody is dying. And one character is probably going to die, but who, I don't know. I was expecting, though, at least one of them to die to the variant. Or at least get fucking hurt by it, god damn it. Next thing I've written is, what is this scene between Eugene and Daryl? Because, and I'm talking about the scene where Eugene is ready to fight Daryl if Daryl doesn't let him go and search for Max. And it's just a weird, funny scene. Like, awkwardly funny scene. And I kind of liked it, but it was a little weird. Especially because I don't think Eugene and Daryl have even interacted that much. Next thing I've written is both. And that is, if you remember from the episode, from that scene where Eugene asked Daryl whether people are born brave or do they become it. And I literally said both at the same time as Daryl as I was watching the episode. Because I think so. I think some people are more genetically, or by being raised, are more predisposed to being braver. But also, bravery is not just the lack of fear, it's also acting despite the fear. So I do think that people are both born brave and become brave. Next thing I've written is, okay, that scene was going in a different direction, which is in relation to the scene between Pamela and Lance where she was going for his coin, but I thought she was going for his groin. So I thought it was going to be another weirdly sexual scene, but apparently it wasn't. I honestly think that would have been better than what they did with like the coin and hiding it in one of the hands. I feel like that was just kind of corny there, but who am I to judge? Next thing I've written is another F-bomb, and that is obviously from that scene between Mercer and Princess where she explains more of her backstory and she says the F word. Not really much to say there. Like, those scenes were enjoyable, but the variant sequence was so exciting that I just don't really feel like I have much to say about those other scenes because they're just so overshadowed. Next thing I've written is, that was 100% a variant in Fear the Walking Dead. He fucking caught it. And that is obviously from that scene where Lydia was trying to kill the walker, and the walker grabbed the stick. With the way it was done, it feels like that was a variant in Fear. 100%. Next thing I've written is, that was a sick scene from Jerry. Like I said, that scene where he's going with the sword, like, that was so fucking badass, man. I really enjoyed that scene. The next thing I've written is, that was so good! The walkers were scary again. And yeah, I honestly don't know if there was ever a time where I felt scared by the walkers. as I've been watching The Walking Dead. Because, like, I remember maybe in, like, 2012, 2013, I stumbled upon, like, season 2 of the show. And I don't really remember being scared of the walkers, but obviously I was a 12-year-old, so probably I was afraid of it. I do remember, though, back in 2016, when the first half of season 6 was happening, and again, I caught it on TV, and I actually watched a little bit of it. I literally remember, I think it was one of the opening scenes of the episode where the truck, which was holding the walkers in the quarry, gets moved, and the walkers walk and keep walking, and that one walker loses half its skin, and the camera just stands as the walkers go around it. Like, I remember seeing that scene on TV, and actually being scared by it, because, as I've mentioned many times before, I've actually been traumatized by a horror movie. In particular, it was The Ring. So, I've been a very much a scaredy cat when it comes to horror stuff, even though I fucking love horror. So I've been easily spooked and easily scared. So I remember being scared of the walkers and the way they looked, like looking so dead. But it still wasn't the kind of fear that I felt in this episode, where I was fearing for the characters, and it was tension and excitement that I was feeling in addition to the fear. Like, it was a different kind of fear. Like, I guess back when season 6 happened, I was creeped out, but I was terrified of that walker in this episode. So that was pretty cool. But yeah, I don't think I've ever actually felt scared from the walkers, like how the characters were have been over the years. Like, maybe the one time I've been scared was back in, like, season 1, when the walkers were distinctly different and behaved very differently. But yeah, I don't know. And the final thing that I've written is, the action was so good. And that is in relation to the final scene of the episode, where Rosita gets attacked by who the fucks know who. And she kind of fights them off really well, in actually a pretty believable way, because even though personally it hasn't really bothered me, there have been some fights that Rosita has had with characters which have not really felt believable, or I wouldn't really buy it that she was able to defeat him. Like, when she was fighting Beta, I still think it was done pretty well, but you could definitely argue that with how skinny and weak she is, she shouldn't be able to fight like that. Or when she was fighting Dante after he killed Siddiq, like, she shouldn't be able to push him off. He's like a huge and heavy man. She wouldn't be able to push him off. At least not in the way that she did in the episode. But in that scene, the way she fucking kickboxed him, that was really fucking badass, and I really liked it. And I did not expect the episode to end there, if I gotta be honest, but it did. So yeah, all in all, really exciting, really action-packed episode, and I really, really enjoyed it. Which is why I'm actually going to give a pretty fucking high rating of 9.4 out of 10. Just because of that fucking variant walker scene, it might genuinely be... I mean, it's not my favorite episode of the season, because I think episode 6 was better in that regard, but it's definitely top 5 of the season so far, for sure. Top 5, maybe even top 3. Because if I really think about it, the 3 episodes which I've honestly unconditionally enjoyed this season are episode 2, episode 6, and this episode. So yeah, I really, really like that about it. And especially compared to the last 2 episodes, this was clearly better. So seeing the trailer for the next episode being super fucking action-packed, with Pamela making a move towards against our group, I'm expecting another really heavily action-packed episode, so I'm curious to see where it's going to go. But yeah, really, really cool episode. Really, really enjoyed it, and I can't wait to see people's reaction to this episode. So yeah, what did you guys think about this episode? Comment your thoughts down below, and let's have a discussion about it. And also, before we end this video, I just want to give a huge shout out to my currently 6 patrons on Patreon: Omar Bridgman, Deadpool, August Dice, Little Uzi, Corby Dead, and Shiron Yan. Thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate it. It really means a lot to me that you've decided to support me, and you've continued to support me such a long time. Hope you continue to enjoy my content and continue to support me going forward. Thank you very much. And yeah, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, please leave a like and subscribe. Also, check out the link in the description of my Wattpad where I post my stories, because in addition to doing all these videos on my channel, I'm also a writer. And if you don't enjoy my stories or simply enjoy my videos, you can head over to my Patreon or to my Coffee account, where you can pledge support and help get the channel going, help support me so I can keep writing stories you enjoy. But if you don't want to do it, that's completely fine. You can still help me out in other ways, like liking this video, subscribing to the channel, and especially sharing this video with somebody who you think might enjoy it. And I think that's pretty much it for this video, so hopefully I'm gonna see you in the next one. Bye!